Human ignored the alien girl's mating signal, but his resistance marked him as a genetic threat. Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's return to our main character, Ethan Cole. The dust chamber hummed around him, its curved composite walls gleaming with a faint violet sheen that pulsed like a heartbeat. Sensors flickered along the rails overhead, catching prismatic trails of airborne particles drifting through the filtered air. Ethan stepped inside cautiously, the soles of his boots pressing soft indentations into the padded flooring designed for cross-species safety. He was here to fix a calibration error, nothing more. That was what he kept telling himself. But the moment he crossed the threshold, the air shifted. A warm, shimmering glow brightened at the center of the chamber, expanding in a slow wave like dawn breaking underwater. Ethan lifted his wrist display. Temperature stable. Air pressure within safe range. Particulate density slightly elevated. Nothing dangerous. At least, nothing the system recognized. A figure stood behind the drifting haze, still and composed, as though carved from the light itself. Sayla Rin. Her skin carried that unmistakable silver-violet luminescence unique to her species, brightening and dimming in gentle sequences. To untrained eyes, it looked like a beautiful, harmless glow. But Ethan had been briefed. Those patterns meant something. Something social. Something biological. Something he was absolutely not supposed to engage with. Her eyes, wide, reflective, impossibly calm, tracked him the moment he entered. The light on her skin lifted into a cascading ripple, flowing from her collarbones to her wrists like falling stardust. His visor chimed. Unidentified photonic pattern detected. Ethan exhaled slowly through his nose. All right, he murmured, mostly to himself. I'm just here to recalibrate the sensor array. Nothing else. He moved toward the control panel along the wall, careful to keep a respectful distance. But the glow behind him intensified, warming the air like stepping too close to a sun lamp. He didn't turn. Didn't respond. Didn't mirror the light the way her people did when acknowledging. Another signal. He simply kept working. A soft sound, almost like a surprised breath, drifted through the chamber. The glow behind him faltered. Then steadied. Then rose again with a sharper pulse he felt through the floor. Ethan tightened a bolt, pretending he didn't notice. Pretending he didn't know what that light meant. Pretending he wasn't the only species in the sector unaffected by the Rin mating signal. He finished the adjustment, locked the panel, and finally turned toward the exit. Sayla stood there, just a few feet away, her glow caught between disbelief and something he couldn't decipher. Her voice, when it finally reached him, was soft but unmistakably shaken. Human, you did not answer. Ethan paused, fingers brushing the door pad. Sorry, he said gently. I don't respond to light patterns. The glow around her flickered, once, twice, before collapsing into a muted, stunned shimmer. Ethan stepped out without another word, unaware that inside the chamber, Sayla pressed a trembling hand to her chest as the system recorded everything. The first known human to ignore the signal. The one anomaly her people would not ignore back. The hallway lights hummed softly as Ethan walked back toward the diagnostics wing, the echo of his footsteps absorbed by the padded flooring. His wrist display vibrated with a new alert, a soft amber glow pulsing across the screen. The notification header read, Unusual Behavioral Report Filed. He did not need to tap it to know exactly what it referred to. Someone had logged what happened in the dust chamber. He exhaled slowly, rubbing the bridge of his nose as he stepped into the main lab. The air inside carried the familiar scent of sterilized polymer and ionized filters, a clean, crisp tang that always reminded him of long nights repairing faulty sensor arrays. Screens flickered with shifting data streams, and the overhead vents whispered a steady rhythm, a white noise he usually found calming. But today the lab felt watchful, as if the walls themselves had witnessed something they could not interpret. Ethan set his toolkit on the counter and pulled up the chamber logs, pretending not to notice the way two technicians glanced up from their stations. Their eyes lingered too long before darting away. He scrolled through the data until he reached the moment Sayla's photonic signature spiked. The glow intensity registered far above normal levels, the waveform rising in a sharp arc. He tapped the temperature readings. Nothing dangerous. Nothing harmful. Just a signal meant for someone who understood its meaning. The soft hiss of an automatic door opening behind him made him glance over his shoulder. Sayla stood there. Her silver-violet skin dimmed to a gentle shimmer, a far cry from the luminous cascade he had seen earlier. She held her hands close to her body, fingers tangled together in an uncharacteristically hesitant way. "You left quickly," she said, her voice quiet but steady. Ethan closed the display. "I finished the recalibration." "Did the system stabilize?" Sayla nodded once. Her glow flickered, like a candle stirred by a breath. "It stabilized because you ignored me." Ethan frowned gently. "I did not ignore you. I just did not respond in the way your people expect." Her eyes lifted to him, wide and searching. "For my kind, the signal is not only a light. It is a form of acknowledgement. When someone does not return it, it is as if they step away from the conversation entirely." Ethan leaned his forearms on the counter, choosing his words carefully. "Sayla, I am human. We do not have photonic responses. I was not rejecting you. I just do not want to pretend I understand something I do not." For a long moment she was silent. Then she moved closer, each step slow and measured. When she spoke again, her voice carried the soft vibration of someone trying to understand a new language. "You did not answer my signal. Yet you did not fear it either." Ethan blinked. "Should I have?" She hesitated. "Most species react strongly. The signal is designed to resonate with the neural patterns of nearby life. But you felt nothing." Ethan shrugged lightly. "I noticed the light. It was beautiful. But it did not do anything." The glow along Sayla's arms dimmed again, but this time with a tone he could not read. "Wonder, maybe. Or confusion. The council monitors all signal activity," she said softly. "They will see I reached out. They will see you did not answer." Ethan straightened. "And what will they think that means?" Sayla lowered her gaze, her glow retreating into a faint halo around her cheeks. "They will think you resisted on purpose," she whispered. "And they will not understand why." Ethan felt a cold thread unwind slowly in his stomach. "Sayla, is that a bad thing?" She looked up at him, eyes shimmering like glass catching starlight. "For my people," she said, voice barely above a breath, "resisting a signal is not harmless. It is something only a genetic disruptor can do." Ethan stared at her, unsure he had heard correctly. Sayla stepped closer, her glow brushing the edge of his shadow. "They will believe," she said quietly, "that you are a threat." The words hung between them, soft but heavy, settling into the quiet lab like drifting dust that refused to fall. Ethan felt the air shift, a subtle thickening as if the ventilation system hesitated before catching itself. Sayla's glow dimmed even further, leaving only a faint silver outline along her shoulders. She looked smaller somehow, though he knew her posture was still perfectly straight. "A threat," Ethan repeated carefully, letting the word settle before speaking again. "You mean like someone dangerous?" Sayla shook her head slowly. "Not dangerous. Disruptive. A being whose biology does not respond as expected can alter patterns that have existed for generations." Ethan leaned back against the counter, folding his arms as he tried to make sense of it. "All because I did not glow back." She blinked, surprised by the simplicity in his tone. "For my people, the signal is a biological truth. It is a certainty. When someone resists it, the system registers the resistance as an anomaly. The council will want to understand it. They may assume you are incompatible with our genome in a way that could destabilize future pairings." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Sayla, I do not think anyone is planning future pairings involving me." A soft sound left her, something almost like a laugh but too fragile to fully form. "You misunderstand," she said gently. "This is not about desire. It is about predictability. My people value patterns. When one does not fit, they examine it." Ethan could feel the weight behind her words, not aggressive, not threatening, just honest. He rubbed the back of his neck, feeling the familiar warmth of the lab lights on his skin. "I just did my job," he said quietly. "I did not mean to cause trouble." Sayla stepped closer, her glow brushing his boots like a faint reflection of moonlight. "You did nothing wrong. But the council may not see it that way." The soft chime of the overhead intercom interrupted them. A calm digital voice announcing, "Sector 3 diagnostic review commencing in 10 minutes. All staff prepare for audit." Ethan looked toward the ceiling, then back at her. "Is that related to your report?" Sayla's expression tightened. "They will review all sensor activity. They will see the signal spike. They will know I initiated it." Ethan watched her hands twist slightly, a subtle sign of discomfort she had not shown before. "Does that put you in trouble?" She hesitated, then shook her head. "Sending a signal is not forbidden. But sending one to someone who does not answer," her voice faded, the glow across her collarbone pulsing with a faint tremor. "It raises questions." Ethan pushed away from the counter, lowering his voice instinctively. "If they question you, tell them the truth. Tell them I did not understand the signal." Sayla looked up at him, her expression softening, but the worry did not leave her eyes. "Truth is not always enough for them," she whispered. "They will want an explanation that aligns with their logic." Ethan nodded slowly, understanding settling in. "Then we give them one." Sayla's glow brightened just slightly, like hope trying to push its way through doubt. "You would speak to them?" Ethan gave a small, steady shrug. "If it keeps things calm, sure. I have nothing to hide." Sayla exhaled, a soft breath she had been holding. "Then we must prepare. When the audit begins, they will not only ask what happened. They will ask why you did not answer me." Her voice softened, almost swallowed by the hum of the lab. "And they will not expect the reason to be simple." The audit countdown ticked across the wall display, each passing second tightening the air inside the diagnostics wing. Ethan stood near the central console while Sayla adjusted the settings on a secondary terminal, her movements precise but edged with a quiet tension that shimmered faintly along her skin. The soft violet light that followed her breathing made familiar patterns on the polished floor, but today they pulsed quicker, less controlled, like ripples disturbed by an unseen current. Ethan watched her for a moment, then stepped closer. If this council group is anything like the committees back on Earth, they will want clarity more than ceremony. Sayla looked up, the glow around her throat dimming with something close to concern. "They value certainty. They prefer predictable outcomes. You do not fit into any of their categories." "I have been told that before," Ethan said with a small, steady breath. He checked the panel once more, ensuring the logs were ready for review. The data from the dust chamber sat in a compressed file, waiting like a frozen moment neither of them could change. An alert chimed softly. "Council link initializing," the system announced. The room's lighting shifted to a cooler tone, the color temperature adjusting to accommodate cross-species vision. Ethan felt a faint vibration through the floor, a sign that the long-range communication array was locking onto the orbiting council vessel. Sayla straightened, her posture flawless, though her glow betrayed flickers of uncertainty. "Before they begin," Ethan murmured quietly, "are you certain you want me speaking? This is your world. Your people." Sayla turned to him fully, and for a heartbeat her luminescence softened to a warm, steady pulse, the calmest he had seen it all day. "You were part of what happened. They must hear your perspective, unfiltered." Ethan nodded. The display flickered to life, forming a translucent panel of shifting geometric shapes, the visual language of the Ring Council. A synthesized voice translated gently into the room. "Sayla Rin. Human technician Ethan Cole. We have reviewed preliminary data. Clarification is required." Sayla inclined her head respectfully, but Ethan could see how her hands tightened at her sides. The voice continued, calm and analytical. "Subject Ethan Cole registered presence during a Class 1 photonic sequence. No reciprocal response detected. Explain." Ethan stepped forward, keeping his tone level and steady. "I did not recognize the sequence as something requiring a response. Humans do not emit or interpret photonic signals. I was focused on my maintenance task." A faint pause followed, as if the council weighed his words with mechanical precision. "Human biology does not react to Class 1 signals." "Correct," Ethan said. "At least, mine does not." I felt warmth and saw light, but nothing psychological or instinctive. Sayla added softly, I confirm this. His response, or lack of response, was consistent with neutrality, not resistance. Another pause. Ethan could hear the soft hum of the consoles, the distant hiss of air vents, the faint trembling of Sayla's glow. If neutrality was the intention, the council replied, why did the signal intensify? Ethan looked briefly at Sayla. Her expression held quiet resolve. Because I approached, she answered. I misread the interaction. I assumed his silence was hesitation, not unfamiliarity. The lights in the room adjusted again, as if the council considered her explanation. We require further observation, the voice concluded. However, the event is reclassified from anomaly to cultural misalignment. Monitoring will continue. The panel dimmed, and the connection ended. Ethan released a breath he had not realized he was holding. Sayla's glow softened in relief. That went better than I expected, he said quietly. She looked at him, eyes bright but calm. It is not over. But they have stepped back. That is enough for now. Ethan offered her a steady nod. Then we take it one step at a time. Her glow lifted, warm and faint, reflecting off the metal console like a fragile promise that the worst of the moment had passed. The diagnostics wing settled into a gentle stillness after the council connection ended, the software of machines returning to their usual rhythm. Ethan powered down the console, feeling the tension slowly drain from his shoulders. Sayla remained by the secondary terminal, her glow faint but steadier now, tracing slow patterns across the polished floor like reflections from quiet water. For a moment neither of them spoke. The quiet was comfortable, a rare kind of peace after the weight of unanswered questions. Sayla finally turned toward him, her expression thoughtful. You handled the council with calm certainty, she said softly. Most humans would have been overwhelmed. Ethan gave a small shrug. I have dealt with my fair share of committees. The wording changes from world to world, but the tone is always the same. Her glow brightened, just slightly, in what he guessed might be amusement. You adapt quickly, she said. That is something my people notice. I do not know if adapting is the right word, Ethan replied. I just try not to make things worse. Sayla stepped closer, stopping a comfortable distance away. Her presence warmed the air, a gentle radiance that softened the metallic scent of the equipment. Earlier, she said carefully, when I approached you in the chamber, I believed you understood my signal. It never occurred to me that you would not. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck, thinking of the cascading glow that had surrounded her. It was beautiful, he admitted. But I did not know it was directed at me. Sayla nodded slowly. My people rely heavily on light patterns. They are part of how we communicate emotion. Intention. Connection. Her eyes held a quiet sincerity as she continued. When you did not reflect anything back, I thought perhaps you were hiding your response. Or rejecting me specifically. Ethan lifted his gaze to hers. I did not reject you. I just did not know what you were telling me. Sayla's glow stilled, settling into a soft, even pulse. I know that now. Silence stretched between them again, but this time it felt different. Softer. Understanding settled into the space where earlier uncertainty had lived. A gentle chime sounded from Ethan's wrist display, breaking the moment. He tapped it automatically. System update, he said. Status alert from the dust chamber. It wants another calibration check. Sayla tilted her head. Is it malfunctioning again? Ethan scanned the data. Looks like the sensors are reading residual photonic signatures. Probably lingering from earlier. Sayla stepped closer, her interest sharpening. I can help. My presence might stabilize the readings. Ethan considered that, then nodded. All right. But only if you feel up to it. Her glow warmed. I do. They walked side by side through the quiet corridor. The overhead lights dimmed in gentle intervals, responding to species-sensitive programming. Their footsteps made soft impressions on the cushioned flooring, the quiet kind of sound that seemed to disappear the moment it was made. When they reached the dust chamber, the door panels opened with a soft sigh, releasing a faint whisper of warm, ionized air. Inside, the chamber glowed with residual violet dust particles that drifted lazily like tiny suspended lanterns. Ethan glanced at her. Will this affect you? Sayla looked at the swirling light with calm assurance. Not adversely. It may even make it easier. She stepped forward first, her glow resonating with the particles as if the room itself recognized her. Ethan followed, watching as the dust spiraled gently around her in soft luminous arcs. The sensors blinked to life overhead, capturing the new readings. Your presence is stabilizing the field, Ethan observed. She turned her head slightly, the light along her cheekbones flickering in a graceful wave. Perhaps because you are here as well, she said quietly. Ethan paused at that, unsure how to respond. But the chamber lights continued to glow around them, warm and steady, as if waiting for the next truth to surface. The dust chamber held a muted glow, as if the particles themselves were listening. Ethan adjusted the sensor panel while Sayla stood at the center of the room, her luminescence blending with the drifting violet dust in a slow, rhythmic pattern. It was calmer than earlier, no sharp spikes or sudden flares, just a steady pulse that moved with her breathing. Ethan glanced at the readings on his wrist display. The stabilization is holding, he said quietly. Your presence really does help. Sayla's eyes followed the floating particles as they curved in gentle arcs around her. The dust responds to proximity, she explained softly. It recognizes familiar wavelengths. Yours are becoming familiar as well. Ethan paused at that. Mine. I thought the dust only reacted to Rin biology. It does, Sayla said, her voice warm but thoughtful. But it also recognizes consistency. You have interacted with this chamber more than anyone else on the team. Your presence shapes its readings. Ethan looked back at the swirling dust, noticing subtle shifts whenever he moved. The changes were small, but Sayla was right. The particles bent toward him in faint movements, acknowledging him in their own quiet way. I guess it likes routine, he said, adjusting another dial. Sayla stepped closer, her glow casting a soft halo across the panel he worked on. It likes intention, she said. The dust reacts not only to biology but to steadiness. Focus. Come. Ethan gave a small laugh. Then it must be misreading me. I have not been calm since the day I arrived here. Sayla tilted her head slightly. Calm is not the absence of pressure, she said. Calm is choosing to remain steady despite it. Ethan met her gaze for a moment, the quiet inside the chamber wrapping around them like a protective shell. Her light was gentle now, no longer searching for a response, just existing beside him. A soft notification blinked on the overhead display. Sensor alignment complete, the automated voice announced. Residual photonic activity within expected thresholds. Ethan lowered his hands, letting out a slow breath. Looks like we are done here. Sayla stepped forward, gently brushing her hand across one of the sensor nodes. The dust spiraled upward in a slow coil, like a soft farewell. There is something I must ask, she said, her glow tightening into a quieter pattern. Ethan gave her his full attention. What is it? Sayla took a moment before answering, her voice carrying a fragile sincerity. When you did not answer my signal before, I believed it was a reflection of your feelings toward me. I assumed silence meant rejection. Ethan's expression softened. It did not. I just did not understand what was happening. I know that now, she said. But I need to understand something else. If you had known the meaning, would you still have chosen silence? Ethan blinked, caught off guard by the question. Sayla, I do not respond to signals the way your people do. Even if I had understood, I would not have been able to mirror your light. I cannot do what your kind can do. I am not asking if you could, she said gently. I am asking if you would have wanted to. The dust settled slowly around them, drifting like quiet starlight. Ethan took a steady breath. I would have wanted to understand you, he said truthfully. I would have wanted to respond in a way that made sense for me. Her glow warmed, shifting into a soft pattern that reminded him of a heartbeat. Then that is enough, she whispered. The chamber lights dimmed as the system powered down the remaining sensors. Ethan watched her reflection shimmer across the curved walls, calm and steady now, no longer a signal she expected returned. Just a presence beside him, bright enough to bridge the space between their worlds. The chamber lights dimmed to their resting glow as Ethan and Sayla stepped back into the corridor. The air outside felt cooler, as if the station itself had been holding its breath while they worked. Ethan closed the door behind them, the soft click echoing with a calm finality. For a moment, everything seemed settled. But the stillness shifted when a low chime sounded from the wall console, pulsing a deep amber color he had never seen before. Sayla froze. Her glow tightened at her wrists in a narrow band, the RIN equivalent of alarm. That signal, she whispered, is not part of the diagnostics. Ethan moved closer to the console. What does it mean? Sayla swallowed lightly, her glow flickering in uneven waves. It is a recall summons. They want me at the central atrium. Immediately. Ethan frowned. Is this about the chamber readings? Sayla shook her head, but her uncertainty showed. Recalls from the council ship are rare. They usually involve high-level evaluation or reassessment. Reassessment of what? Ethan asked. Her gaze lifted to him, fragile but steady. Of me. And of you. A quiet weight settled in Ethan's chest. Do you want me to come with you? Her glow softened. I would prefer not to go alone. They walked together through the long corridor, their reflections drifting across the polished walls like muted shadows. The station lights adjusted to their movement, brightening slightly whenever they passed. When they reached the atrium, the floor panel shifted into a pale silver hue, signaling an active council link. A circular projection flickered to life in the center, forming an array of geometric signatures. The council's synthesized voice resonated softly through the wide space. Sayla Rin. Human technician Ethan Cole. You are both requested for clarification. Ethan stepped forward. We already provided clarification during the audit. What more do you need? The geometric patterns tightened, becoming sharper. Subsequent data from the dust chamber indicates a secondary resonance. The system detected alignment between your patterns. Sayla inhaled sharply. Secondary resonance is impossible. Humans do not generate photonic patterns. Incorrect, the council replied. The chamber detected repeated stabilization waves originating from the human subject. Ethan felt his pulse stir, though he kept his expression calm. That must be a misreading. I cannot produce light signatures. Not light, the council corrected. Behavioral resonance. The chamber responded to your presence as if you were a compatible stabilizer. Such behavior has only been recorded between paired RIN. Sayla's glow flared in surprise, then dimmed into stunned stillness. Ethan shook his head slowly. I did nothing unusual. I was just doing my job. The council patterns shifted again. Your presence altered Sayla Rin's photonic oscillation into a unified rhythm. This pattern is associated with protective pairing. The words struck the air gently but firmly, settling into silence. Sayla's voice wavered. That cannot be correct. He does not respond to our signals. He is neutral. Neutrality can still form resonance if biological intention is stable, the council responded. Human steadiness appears to influence RIN rhythm. This is unprecedented. Ethan looked to Sayla. Her eyes were wide, her glow trembling softly like ripples shaken by a distant tremor. What does this mean? He asked her quietly. Before she could answer, the council spoke again, softer this time, almost curious. It means the human is no longer classified as a threat. He is classified as a bind potential. Ethan's breath caught. Sayla's glow froze completely. And in the quiet of the vast atrium, only the hum of the projection remained, waiting for either of them to speak. The atrium felt impossibly wide as the council's final words settled over the space, quiet but heavier than anything Ethan had heard since arriving on the station. Bind potential. The term lingered in the air like a held note, suspended, waiting for meaning to catch up. Ethan stood very still, the cool silver light of the projection brushing across his face in soft pulses. Beside him, Sayla had gone completely quiet. Her luminescence dimmed to almost nothing, a faint glow barely outlining her form, as if she were trying not to disturb the moment or trying to understand it fully before she breathed again. Define bind potential, Ethan said calmly, though his voice carried a restrained tightness. The council's geometric forms shifted with near musical precision. A bind potential indicates the possibility of long-term stabilizing compatibility. This occurs when two individuals' patterns naturally align under involuntary conditions. Ethan exhaled slowly. You mean the chamber thinks we are paired? Not paired, the council corrected. Compatible. Pairing is a deliberate act. Compatibility is observed. Sayla's glow flickered, the first sign of emotion since the declaration. Council, this must be a misinterpretation. Humans do not produce photonic signatures. There is nothing for the chamber to align with. The chamber detected behavioral resonance, not photonic output, the council responded. His biological profile shows unusual steadiness. Consistency has been demonstrated across multiple interactions. RIN resonance is responsive to stability. Ethan frowned. You mean my lack of reaction created a reaction? Correct. The atrium fell back into stillness. Ethan looked at Sayla, finding her eyes already on him. Her expression was unreadable, a mixture of realization, uncertainty, and something gentler beneath the surface. She stepped closer, though her glow remained soft and contained. I did not anticipate this, she whispered. Neither did I, Ethan replied. But I also did not expect any of this when I walked into that chamber the first time. Sayla lowered her gaze, her glow trembling like a quiet pulse beneath her skin. The council will want to observe further. Bind potential is rare even among RIN. It will change how they view both of us. Ethan nodded slowly. Does this put you in any kind of danger? Not danger, she said carefully. But scrutiny. Expectations. Questions about intention. Ethan considered that. What about me? Sayla looked up again, her voice gentle but honest. The humans on this station may not understand. And the RIN may study you more closely than before. But you are not classified as a threat any longer. That is important. The council's projection dimmed slightly, signaling the end of active questioning, but its presence remained like a quiet observer in the background. Sayla RIN, it said, and Ethan Cole. You will return to your standard duties. Further evaluation will be scheduled when appropriate. The projection dissolved in a swirl of geometric fragments, leaving only the soft ambient glow of the atrium lights. Silence lingered, long and unbroken. Ethan finally spoke, his voice low. How do you feel about all this? Sayla's answer came slowly, shaped carefully, as if she weighed each word against the meaning it carried. I feel aware, she said. Of something new. Something I did not expect. And something I am not certain I should ignore. Ethan felt a quiet shift in the air between them, subtle yet unmistakable. Do you want to ignore it? He asked. Sayla's glow warmed, faint but steady, reflecting softly across his hands like the whisper of a sunrise. No, she answered. I do not think I do. The atrium light softened as the council projection faded fully, leaving behind a wide hush that seemed to rest on every surface. Ethan stood beside Sayla in the quiet, both of them still facing the empty space where the geometric patterns had hovered moments before. Slowly, the ambient lighting shifted back to its usual gentle hue, and the room seemed to exhale around them. Sayla's glow returned in a faint ripple across her shoulders, subtle and uncertain, as if part of her still lingered in the echo of what had just happened. Ethan, she murmured, her voice quiet but steady, I do not know what the council expects from us now. Ethan looked at her, his expression calm despite the uncertainty threading beneath it. They said they want more evaluation. That does not mean we have to change anything. Not unless we choose to. Sayla's eyes lifted toward him, reflecting the soft lights overhead. Choice, she repeated, tasting the word as if it carried a new weight. My people do not often speak of choice in matters involving resonance. Ethan shrugged lightly. Well, humans talk about it all the time. Sometimes too much. Her glow warmed. Your kind finds comfort in unpredictability. Ethan smiled gently. Not comfort. But we learn to live with it. They left the atrium side by side, their footsteps quiet on the silver-toned floor. The corridor lights adjusted to their movement, dimming slightly when they passed, like a soft bow of acknowledgement. When they reached the observation hallway, the wide glass panels revealed the horizon of the planet below, a blue-lavender sphere rimmed by drifting clouds and distant sunlight. Sayla paused, placing her hand lightly against the transparent surface. Her glow reflected in soft streaks, shifting in slow waves like light crossing calm water. Ethan stood beside her, taking in the view. "Do you come here often?" he asked. Sayla nodded. "When I need to understand something. The planet reminds me that even unfamiliar worlds can feel peaceful if you give them time." Ethan looked at her reflection in the glass. "Is that how I feel to you? Unfamiliar?" Sayla turned her head slightly, her glow brushing across the glass in a soft halo. "You feel unexpected," she said. "Different from what my people taught me to anticipate." Ethan nodded thoughtfully. "And does that bother you?" "It unsettled me before," she admitted. "But now it makes me curious." They stood in silence for a long moment, just watching the distant glow of the planet. The air hummed gently, the subtle vibration of the station's systems blending into a quiet background pulse. Finally Ethan spoke, his voice softer than before. "What happens next?" Sayla lowered her hand from the glass, her glow gathering at the center of her chest in a faint, warm shimmer. "The Council will observe. They will ask questions. They will try to understand our resonance." Ethan nodded. "And what do you want?" Sayla looked up at him then, her eyes reflecting the pale horizon below, steady and clear. "I want to discover if the resonance chose truth or coincidence," she said. "I want to understand why your presence steadies my patterns. Why the chamber reacted. Why I reacted." Ethan held her gaze, feeling the quiet shift around them, subtle but certain. "Then we figure it out," he said. "No pressure. No expectations. Just two people trying to understand something new." Sayla's glow warmed again, blooming gently across her arms in a soft unfolding pattern he had never seen before. It was calm. Peaceful. Almost grateful. She looked back through the glass, her voice a quiet thread in the still air. "Ethan," she whispered, "for the first time, the light does not feel like a signal. It feels like understanding." And in the quiet that followed, the station lights dimmed in a slow, meaningful pulse, as if acknowledging the moment without a single word.